Hi there, and thanks for joining me for another Word in Season. I was at a silent retreat recently up at New Norcia, and it's just a beautiful, peaceful location up there. I'm sure many of you have been up there. And on the first morning of the retreat, I just sat in the courtyard for a long while, just savouring my Vegemite and butter on French New Norcia toast, sipping my coffee, just watching the bees busily gathering pollen from the lavender flowers. And this is one of the wonderful things about a silent retreat, is that everything just seems to slow down a bit, and you can just take time just to take in the wonders of God's creation, savour the flavours of the food and the drink, and just slow down really. That's what I was doing on this occasion. And then I leant over and just took hold of a sprig of lavender just from the bush nearby, and I instinctively just rubbed it between my fingers. And as you've no doubt also discovered, it's in the bruising of the lavender that the full aroma is released. It's beautiful, actually. And in that moment, I was reminded of the scripture in Isaiah 53, which says prophetically about Jesus, "He was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities." And the teaching of scripture is that as a direct result of the bruising of Christ, something of great beauty is released in the form of healing and of salvation for all who come to God in faith. And this is something that we also learn in the Christian life. As we seek to follow Jesus, we discover we're not altogether shielded from the bruising that comes from life's various experiences. In fact, some would say that the most important lessons in life are learned in the school of hard knocks. We struggle with loneliness and grief. We go through all sorts of disappointments where things don't turn out the way that we hoped that they might. And of course, we struggle with our own sense of failure, our own sense of inadequacy, insecurity, as we do our best to live up to our own expectations, let alone the expectations that others place on us. And in all these things, there's a bruising that we experience. We're bruised by the experiences of pain in our lives. But actually, we discover that if we respond rightly, then it's in that very bruising that if you like, a fragrance is released that we never would have discovered had we not experienced the bruising. So in our loneliness, we call upon the name of the Lord, who puts the lonely in families and gently leads us into community. It's in the painful desperation of our hearts that we're driven to a fervency in prayer that we would never have discovered if it weren't for that desperation and that pain. And when bruising pushes us to prayer, we discover a closeness to God in which the fragrance of Christ is released. And not only that, but our pain gives us a newfound compassion and empathy for others for who we meet, who are going through a similar struggle to the one that we ourselves have been through. So the beautiful aroma of Christ is released through our bruising, spread to be like a healing balm to those around us. 2 Corinthians 2:15 says that we are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ. And this is all the more true as we share in the sufferings of Christ. So next time you walk past a lavender bush, take a small sprig and just take the time just to bruise it between your fingers and be reminded of the beautiful aroma of Christ that can be released even through your suffering. God bless you.